The chamber was alive with light and sound. Holographic stars spun slowly above the center of the great council hall, their brilliance reflected in the tiers of crystal seats that stretched upward like a cathedral. Voices clashed in 100 alien tongues, clicking, hissing, thrumming, rising into a discordant storm that filled the vaulted space. Commander Elias Kale stood alone on the central dais, a circle of polished obsidian beneath his boots. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's Defense Directorate, its edges sharp and deliberate, as if tailored for war rather than diplomacy. His spine was straight, his eyes steady, yet he felt the weight of a galaxy's judgment pressing down. The council had gathered to pass sentence. Humanity's fate balanced on his words. A resonant chime silenced the chamber. From the uppermost tier descended Chancellor Vayrith of the Seraph Dominion. His body was a lattice of living crystal, translucent veins glowing faintly with energy. His voice was deep and cold, vibrating through the hall like a struck bell. "Commander Kale," Vayrith began, "you stand here as emissary of a species whose ambition knows no boundary. Your colonies spread like infection into disputed systems. Your fleets multiply beyond what treaties allow. You arm yourselves as if preparing for war against us all. Do you deny it?" The words hung heavy. Kale did not answer immediately. He let silence linger, forcing every eye to settle on him. The chamber smelled faintly of ozone and alien musk, the air recycled through filters too clean to mask the tension. When he spoke, his voice was calm. "I deny nothing. Humanity expands because it must. We prepare because history taught us the price of complacency." A ripple of unease spread through the tiers. Whispers in alien tongues, the shuffle of appendages against glass seats. From the second tier, a Thrak delegate leaned forward, its mandibles clacking. "History? You speak as if slaughter is virtue. You breed soldiers, not citizens. Your kind carries war like a disease." Kale's jaw tightened. He remembered the siege of Titan, the sky aflame with alien bombardment, the streets lined with corpses. He had been there, one soldier among thousands holding the line with rifles that overheated and armor that cracked under the first barrage. Humanity had bled for every inch of survival. He met the Thrak's multifaceted gaze. "War is not our pride. It is our inheritance. We did not ask for it, but it shaped us. Fire does not ask the forest whether to burn. It simply consumes. So we learned to endure fire, and to wield it when needed." The chamber trembled with disapproval. A reptilian envoy hissed, its frills spreading. "This is no justification. The Council cannot allow a predator species to destabilize the balance. Humanity must disarm. Withdraw your fleets from the border zones. Dismantle your arsenals. Accept guardianship, or face consequences." There it was, the ultimatum, delivered without pretense. Kale inhaled slowly. The recycled air was thin, metallic on his tongue. He could feel his pulse in his throat, steady and controlled. "Guardianship," he repeated. "A fine word for chains." The chamber erupted in noise. Some jeered, others demanded silence, but Kale's words carried across them. He stepped forward, into the cone of light projected from above, his shadow stretching long across the obsidian floor. "Your empires lecture us on restraint while fighting proxy wars and hidden systems. You condemn expansion while hoarding entire sectors. You call us dangerous, but it is fear that speaks from your throats. Fear of what we might become." Vayrith descended another step, crystalline joints clicking softly. His glow intensified, his form casting fractured light across the chamber. "You mistake us. We do not fear your kind. We fear the chaos you bring. You are young, impulsive, reckless. War is in your blood, and you would drown us in it if not stopped." Kale's eyes locked with Vayrith's shimmering core. He thought of Earth, scarred continents, oceans bearing the wrecks of forgotten fleets, cities rebuilt from ash. He thought of how humanity had risen again and again, never broken, never erased. "You're right," Kale said quietly, though the microphone carried his voice to every corner. "War is in our blood. We do not deny it. But you misjudge us if you believe fear holds us back. We remember what endless war costs. That memory taught us discipline. We restrain ourselves not out of weakness, but out of choice. The words cut through the silence that followed, sharp as a blade. From the upper tiers, a delegation of winged seracs shifted uneasily, their feathers rustling. One of them spoke in a musical voice. Choice is fragile. You may claim restraint, but ambition erodes it. Can you promise peace when your very nature resists it? Kale's mouth curved, not into a smile, but into something harder. Peace is not given. It is kept. And we keep it because we know what waits if it fails. The council stirred, a hive unsettled. Accusations buzzed from every corner, imperialist, barbarian, conqueror. Kale stood unmoving, the storm breaking against him like waves against stone. At last, Varith raised a crystalline hand. The chamber quieted. His voice rang with finality. Then hear the judgment of the council. Humanity will surrender its fleets. It will yield its outer colonies to supervision. If you refuse, you will face the combined strength of every world represented here. We offer you survival at the cost of your pride. Do not mistake this for mercy. The sentence fell like a hammer. Kale felt it in his bones, the collective weight of civilizations pressing against one man. Yet his heart remained steady. He looked up at the holographic stars above, their light cold and distant. He thought of Earth Command, of the encrypted orders waiting in his pocket. He knew what they demanded, knew the truth hidden behind decades of deliberate deception. Kale lifted his gaze back to the council, his voice measured and clear. If survival means submission, then you misunderstand humanity. We endured plagues, empires, genocides, revolutions. We endured each other. We endured you. Do you truly believe we would surrender now? Gasps echoed across the tiers. For a moment, even the ambient hum of machines seemed to falter. Kale straightened, the weight of history behind his words. You think we fear war? You're wrong. Humanity does not fear war. Humanity is war, and we've kept it leash not for our sake, but for yours. The silence that followed was absolute. No alien voice dared break it. From somewhere high above, a chime signaled adjournment, but no one moved. The chamber remained frozen, every delegate staring at the lone human on the dais, realizing the calculus of power was not as simple as they had believed. In the pocket of his uniform, Kale's communicator pulsed with a message from Earth Command. He did not need to read it to know its contents. The fleets were already moving. The council had given its ultimatum. Soon they would learn the truth. The private chamber beneath the council hall was silent except for the hum of hidden machinery. Its walls were polished black stone, streaked faintly with veins of gold, and every surface carried the faint glow of security wards. No alien envoys were permitted here. It was a room designed for the few who required privacy in a city built on surveillance. Commander Elias Kale paced slowly along the length of the chamber. His hands were clasped behind his back, shoulders tight with the weight of what had just transpired above. The council's ultimatum echoed in his ears: disarmament, surrender, humiliation. They had expected him to bend. Instead, he had given them words sharp enough to leave the chamber bleeding silence. A pulse of light flickered in the corner. The encrypted comms array had finished its cycle. Kale pressed his palm against the console, and the hollow field bloomed around him, painting the room in pale blue. The stern face of Admiral Reyes filled the projection, her lined features made harder by the shadows of war. Report, she said. No pleasantries, no wasted breath. They've issued their demands, Kale replied. Surrender our fleets, colonies under guardianship. They believe unity makes them invincible. They don't see the fractures beneath the surface. Reyes studied him, her gaze unflinching. And the council's reaction to your words? Shock, Kale said. Fear, though they won't name it. Varith cloaked it in arrogance, but I saw the hesitation ripple through the tiers. They expected submission, not defiance. Reyes's expression hardened. Then it begins. Our fleets are already in motion. Wormhole gates are locked. Phase cloaks engaged. By the time the Council realizes what's happening, our forces will be positioned across 3 sectors. Kale's chest tightened. He had known this moment was coming, but hearing it spoken aloud stripped away the last pretense. The mask is off, then? Reyes nodded. It always was. They just weren't ready to see what stood beneath. The hollow field dimmed, and the Admiral's image dissolved into blue fragments. Kale was left with the hum of machinery and the steady rhythm of his pulse. Above, the Council's deliberations dragged on. Through hidden relays, Kale watched fragments of their debate. Alien delegates argued in raised tones, voices clashing as old rivalries surfaced. The insected Thrak demanded immediate military action. The Serati urged caution, their feathers ruffled with doubt. Even the crystalline seraph whispered among themselves, light pulsing uneasily through their translucent forms. And always, at the center, Chancellor Varys spoke with the certainty of a predator who believed he held the field. Kale leaned closer to the relay feed. Varith's voice filled the chamber. Humanity hides blades in shadows. They seek to unravel the balance with deceit. Strike now, before their reach grows unchecked. If we hesitate, the galaxy will pay the price. The other delegates shifted, torn between fear and hesitation. Kale could almost feel the cracks forming. He understood their nature now, civilizations older than Earth, yet brittle, bound together not by trust but by convenience. They lacked what humanity had built in fire, unity born of necessity. A memory rose unbidden, Titan, 30 years ago. He had been a lieutenant then, his armor scarred, his rifle overheating in his hands. The enemy had been relentless, their warships blotting out the sky. Yet humanity had not broken. They had dug trenches into the ice, fought through days of bombardment, and when the walls fell, they fought with knives in the dark. He remembered the cold, the blood freezing on his gloves, the cries of dying comrades. He remembered the fire in his chest, the certainty that humanity would endure, no matter the cost. That certainty burned within him still. A chime interrupted his thoughts. The chamber door slid open, and a figure entered. Captain Lynn Aurora, his aide and confidant, saluted sharply. She was younger, lean, with eyes that carried both calculation and fire. They're escalating, she said. The Thrak want to mobilize fleets immediately. The Serati hesitate, but Varith is pressing hard. He's painting us as reckless children with matches near powder stores. Kale allowed himself a thin smile. Then he underestimates how carefully we've arranged the powder. Aurora approached the console, glancing at the residual glow from Reyes's transmission. The Admiral's orders? Positioning is underway, Kale said. We hold the line until the fleets are ready. Once they are, the Council will see what they've never imagined. Aurora hesitated. And if they force a vote before that? Kale turned to face her fully. His voice carried no doubt. Then I give them the truth. The chamber's walls flickered, relays bringing fresh debate. Kale listened as Varys spoke again, his crystalline body flaring with harsh light. They admit war is in their blood. They speak of fire and discipline, but beneath it lies hunger. Do you not see it? Humanity is the storm at the edge of our skies. Either we contain it now, or we invite it to consume us all. Kale straightened. Enough shadows. Enough half-truths. He triggered the uplink. A tone cut across the council hall above, silencing the arguments. Dozens of alien faces turned toward the sudden intrusion, their voices falling to uneasy silence as Kale's image appeared before them in a towering projection. I've heard your judgments, he said, his voice amplified, steady as stone. I've heard your fears. But you've built those fears on a lie. You believe humanity is reckless. You believe our strength is untested. You think restraint comes from weakness. Allow me to correct you. The chamber filled with murmurs, but Kale's words rolled over them. For decades, we've hidden our true strength. You've seen old hulls, outdated weapons, scattered colonies. That was the mask. The reality is different. The fleets you think you can contain are already in motion. The weapons you dismiss as crude are beyond what you've imagined. And the people you call reckless children? They are veterans of wars that would have broken you. A ripple of disbelief, of outrage, swept through the tiers. Kale pressed forward, his voice harder now. You see war as chaos. We see it as order. You fear destruction. We endured it and learned to rise from its ashes. You claim we threaten balance, but it is your balance built on manipulation, on proxy wars and quiet betrayals. You fear us because we remind you of what you are not, resilient, united, unbroken. Varith rose, his crystalline body blazing. Lies! Human arrogance knows no end. You bluff, hoping to stall until your fleets scramble to defend your scattered worlds. You have nothing! Kale's eyes locked onto him. Then look to your skies. He gave the signal. Above Solara Prime, beyond the reach of the chamber, shadows lifted. The first Terran fleet emerged from cloak at the system's edge, steel leviathans bristling with weapons never declared, hulls carved with the scars of old wars, engines burning with ruthless intent. The council hall erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted, some in fury, some in fear. The Serati beat their wings in agitation. The Thrak clacked their mandibles in rage. And through it all, Kale's projection stood unmoved, a single human voice cutting through the storm. War is not what we desire. But if you force our hand, you will understand why we have never feared it. The orbital skies above Solara Prime burned with tension. Stars glittered against the void, yet their light paled beside the sudden appearance of steel titans, human warships uncoupling from cloak, hulls gleaming with a predatory edge. They moved into formation with the precision of a drawn blade, weapons arrays aligning silently, a message clearer than any speech. Inside the council hall, pandemonium reigned. Delegates shouted across tiers, feathers rustled, mandibles clicked, crystalline bodies flashed with agitation. Words of diplomacy dissolved into raw fear as the reality of humanity's fleet, once dismissed as fractured and obsolete, now materialized in undeniable force. Commander Elias Kale stood at the dais again, projected across the chamber. His voice was measured, amplified over the chaos. You demanded submission. Instead, I show you truth. The fleets you dismissed as scattered are disciplined. The weapons you thought crude are sharpened. Humanity does not beg for survival. We stand ready to defend it. A Serati delegate's wings flared in alarm. You would start a war here, in sacred orbit? Madness. Kale's gaze swept the tiers. No. I will not start it. But neither will I run from it. The Council's security feeds shifted. Dozens of alien warships scrambled from Solara Prime's defense stations, engines igniting with haste. Their formation was disorderly, commanders issuing conflicting orders, each faction distrusting the other. In contrast, the Terran fleet advanced as one, hulls aligned in silent unity. From the highest tier, Chancellor Varith rose. His crystalline form pulsed with violent brilliance, casting fractured beams of light across the chamber. His voice thundered like shattering glass. Proof of aggression! Proof of deceit! They come armed into the Council's heart. Strike them down before their contagion spreads further. The Thrak clicked furiously in agreement, their mandibles rasping like blades. Several other factions echoed, demanding immediate retaliation. Kale did not flinch. He let the storm rise before speaking again. Look at them, he said, his hand lifting toward the projection of his fleet. See their discipline. Their restraint. Not one shot fired, though your defense wings swarm. We stand ready, but we do not strike first. That is not weakness. That is control. Above the planet, the fragile standoff shattered. A nervous commander of the Thrak swarms broke formation. Sensors mistook a Terran cruiser's energy fluctuation as weapons fire, and panic seized the alien's hand. A beam lanced out, cutting through void, brilliant, reckless. It struck a human frigate's flank, searing through plating, leaving molten trails. The void ignited. Terran ships answered instantly, but with precision. Targeting systems locked not on engines or cores, but on weapons arrays, disarming without annihilating. One by one, alien ships went dark, drifting powerless in orbit, their captains stunned by the restraint. In the hall, the display silenced even the loudest voices. Varitha's glow flickered with rage. You call this restraint? You cripple our fleets! Kale's eyes were unyielding. Your commander fired first. Had we wished, those ships would be debris. Instead, they live. That is the difference between war born of fear and war born of discipline. The projection flickered as Kale opened a channel to every vessel, every delegate, every system linked to the Council. His voice carried not only through the chamber, but across light years. You call us reckless. Yet we are the species that survived ourselves. We endured firestorms, plagues, and empires that tried to erase us. We tore each other apart until nothing was left to burn, and then we built again. Every scar taught us unity. Every war forged us harder. He leaned forward, his gaze sharp, words biting. You mistake us when you think fear governs us. Fear breaks others. Fear binds us together. That is why humanity stands before you unbroken. Delegates exchanged hurried whispers. Some looked to Varith, others to each other. Doubt cracked the facade of unity. A feathered Sereti envoy rose, wings trembling. Perhaps, she said softly, perhaps humanity is not only threat but shield. They did not destroy. They held back. Her words cut through the din like fresh air. Another delegate, a scaled reptilian, hissed in reluctant agreement. Restraint, yet overwhelming force. A paradox, but undeniable. Varys struck his crystalline arm against the railing, shattering shards into the air. Do not be deceived. This is not mercy. This is intimidation. Kale met his glare. Intimidation is for the uncertain. We show what we could do, and what we choose not to. That is mercy. Varitha's glow darkened, pulsing with violent intent. Suddenly, a ripple of energy surged across the chamber. The Chancellor extended a crystalline arm, and a psychic wave lashed out, silent, invisible, yet heavy as a mountain. Kale staggered. His vision blurred as the weight pressed against his mind, invasive, crushing. The Seraph Dominion was infamous for their psionic power, a weapon rarely wielded in public. Gasps echoed through the chamber as delegates realized Varith was attempting to break him, to prove humanity's defiance was hollow. Kale's knees threatened to buckle. He felt the crushing pressure dig into memory, tighten, blood on the ice, screams in the dark. But instead of breaking, the memories hardened him. Humanity had endured worse. His jaw clenched, his mind a fortress built on centuries of survival. Through gritted teeth, he forced out the words. We do not bow. The psychic wave shattered against him like glass against stone. Varith recoiled, light flickering erratically, shards falling from his crystalline frame. The chamber gasped in awe. A human had resisted what entire species had failed to withstand. Kale drew a steady breath, standing taller than before. His voice was iron. You thought war was your weapon against us. It is our inheritance. You thought we were weak because we hid our strength. We hid it because we know what unleashing it costs. Do not mistake restraint for fear. Silence. Every delegate stared, their arguments hollowed. The Council, a body that had ruled by intimidation for centuries, was shaken. Minutes passed like lifetimes before the Sereti envoy broke the quiet. Perhaps the time has come to recognize humanity as equal, not subordinate. Others nodded slowly, murmurs spreading. The balance shifted, fragile but undeniable. Varitha's glow dimmed further, his fury impotent against the tide. He sank back into his tier, defeated not by force of arms but by will stronger than crystal. Kale's final words carried across the chamber, across the networks, across the stars. We came here seeking peace. But if forced, we will show you what war truly means. Remember this moment, not because we conquered you, but because we chose not to. Above Solera Prime, Terran ships held position, silent sentinels in the void. Alien fleets drifted powerless, alive but humbled. No shot followed, no bombardment fell. Only the weight of restraint, sharper than any blade. Kale descended from the dais, the chamber still hushed. For the first time, the Council did not see humanity as children to be contained. They saw them for what they truly were, a species forged in fire, patient, unyielding, and dangerous beyond measure. And in the quiet that followed, the galaxy understood. The age of underestimating humanity was over.